Podcast. Today we're here to remind you when it comes to the Democratic and Republican Party, and the wise words of Lewis Black, it's the same bullshit staring in the mirror. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today we are going to be talking about horror movies that have punk rock in them. Obviously, because you listened to our Monday episode and you know how it goes by now at this point. At least I'm hoping you do. If you're new to the show, this is how we do it.
That was very dramatic.
Movies
with punk rock in them.
I'm trying
Dun dun dun!
I'm really channeling my inner Shatner. So I'm like, movies with punk rock horror into the God.
I hate my life.
I hate my life too.
Well, I just think it's funny that is William Shatner sings how like the new Halloween movie just came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
And the Halloween mask is just a William Shatner mask painted white and dyed.
Yeah. Funny other thing is that Shatner actually did just come out with a Christmas album with Iggy Pop and Henry Rollins on it.
I fucking hate Christmas. It started invading October. Like, come on.
So, on to things we love and hate. Actually, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You can go.
Are you sure?
Just go.
Are you sure?
I can do it!
So, the thing I love is that actually, recently, I've been able to go and celebrate Halloween for the first time in, I think, like, 4 to 5 years, I've actually been able to do this. I was able to go with Lauren and Aaron, and she was able to dress up, and I was able to finally be there for trick-or-treating when we went with you and Dev and Audrey and Harrison, and is it Dev's cousin or Dev's friend?
No, okay, it's Rachel, who's the mother of Audrey's cousins.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was mistaken. My apologies.
It's okay. It sounds a lot more complicated than it really is.
Yeah. She's really nice. She's really friendly. But I love doing that. It was just fun to be able to do, like, because me and you were just, like, talking the entire time, and, like, eventually all of us were intercepting Audrey from running into the street.
Yeah.
Like, so that was fun. And I think what made me laugh the most is that, so I still haven't watched The League, but so there's this character on there called, that they dress up
McGiblets.
Mr. McGiblets.
It's pretty much the League's, like, universe's version of Elmo.
Right.
It's just Elmo on acid.
Well, what was funny is, like, when Harrison was describing it to me before he even dressed up, he's like, I was like, what the hell is Mr. McGiblets? What does that even look like? He's like, oh, it's like a big, like, purple, like, costume with green. And I'm like, so Barney? And he's like, he's like, no, you're just gonna have to see it. And then I saw it, and it was funny because he was wearing this big, huge, like, mascot costume, and like we were walking through the night, and it was like almost no light in certain parts. So it was like the creepiest fucking thing to see. It's just this giant, like, almost 6 foot tall, like furry costume that looked like what you said, looked like a cracked out Sesame Street character, right?
Elmo on acid.
And he's just, like, standing there the whole time with this, like, double look on the helmet's face. And, like, what was made even funnier is whenever we crossed the street, because Harrison's zipper broke on the back of the costume, he had a waddle.
He couldn't run. He's just like, I can only waddle, guys.
Which made it far more terrifying because you see his waddling mascot in the dark in a neighborhood chasing after what is presumed to be two families with their own kids. You're just like, I want some blood in your soul.
Yeah. I mean, like, James said it best when Harrison posted that picture. It's the legendary purple what the fuck.
And then Harrison's like, I should stand by the side of the road. I'm like, someone is going to purposely hit you. Like, someone's going to take you out with a car, dude. Like, they're going to at least door check you.
Yeah. You know, it would have been funny, though.
It would have been, I would have felt so bad, but, like, a year down the road, I'd be like, that was pretty funny. But that I love. That was a fun time trick or treating. That's what I love.
Yeah, it was a really good Halloween.
It was a good one. So the thing I hate, and I've kind of been holding on to this for a while. So there's this radio station that is here in Colorado. Not the same one that I complained about before in the past. This is actually
one that he actually
one.
named.
Well, yeah, this one is different, but so we can, to protect their privacy and whatnot. If you want to know what this radio station is, take the number 215.8 and subtract half of that off, and what you get left is the radio station. but I will tell you that they're the primarily like rock radio station here in Colorado. So I was listening to them one day, and they were they were transitioning from like the morning show to the afternoon show, and they were all talking about like, and this was like early October, and they were talking, and they're just like oh yeah, like all the current horror movies just don't scare me, like they're not as good. And like they were talking about like The Nun and all this stuff, and so when they were talking about it, it started to get on my nerves, and the reason it was getting on my nerves was because they were saying like, you know, there's all these current horror movies, you know, that aren't good, they're not scaring me, and that pissed me off, because part of the reason why we started this podcast was because we know that there's like underground horror movies that are far more terrifying and far better than a lot of silver screen stuff.
Oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discredit any of the silver screen stuff. There's ones that are real stinkers, but like, you know, there's ones that are also really solid. But for these people to come and just say like, oh, there's no good horror movies anymore, or like, oh, that's a dying, I even think they said something around the lines of like, it's a dying genre, you know, and I'm just, it really pissed me off. First of all, because like this radio station really like markets itself to be like connected with, you know, the underground blue collar hardworking scene here in Colorado. But when it comes to like giving credit to things that people like and that are underground and from hardworking people, they kind of just, they discredited a big one. I don't think, I mean,
to be fair with them though, they just, their blue collar like fan oriented thing is mostly just music, you know.
Right. Well, and that's my thing, is that they always do this thing where it's like, oh, you're part of this radio station's family. When you go into the store, tell them you're part of this radio station's family. And I just, like, they're willing to help out local businesses, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I know there's, like, local horror creators. I mean, key point, you know, we had Aaron and Jesse Livingston on here for the Blue Room. Yeah. Like, there's that. And then, obviously, Code 3's come on here. And then, you know, we've had, you know, all of our guests who have come on here who are locally from here. You know, it was just really frustrating for this type of radio station who's marketed itself and to be connected with this type of like demographic, kind of alienate part of it and be like, oh, horror movies are just bleh. Which is also kind of frustrating because they play a lot of rock songs, like, you know, a lot more, and they try to be a little more on the heavy side. Yeah. And yet then they don't associate with the heavier part of like media, which I always will argue horror is the heavier side.
Oh yeah, especially, you know, they'll play Rob Zombie. And Rob Zombie makes horror movies.
Yeah, they'll rock Rob Zombie, or even White Zombie, or even Black Sabbath, or Metallica, or you know. But then they're just like, oh, like it's not as scary as it is anymore. And I understand that's their own personal opinions, and I can't make them be like, oh, horror's great, you know. But
but it's okay. Your opinion's wrong.
It's their opinion, and they're wrong. They're wrong. They're really wrong. And I'm just gonna say it. They're wrong. Horror is getting stronger. We're you know, there's so many people who love horror and who had these, you know, who are just passionate about it. I mean, you know, other podcasts like Nightmare on Film Street, almost all the podcasts that, you know, we're a part of in the 12 Nights of Horror family, you know, on Twitter, you know, there's podcasters who love horror, there's YouTubers who love horror, and it's just really frustrating because we started this podcast to bring light to horror movies that are different and that deserve more attention and that are good and remind you why you love horror. Yeah. And so I just think it's a real shame that they're just kind of like putting up their hats and being like, oh, horror stinks. Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't directly say stinks, but it's pretty much what you get from it.
I mean, but it's the same thing with the whole like single player video games are dying. Yeah. You know, EA's whole standpoint on that. It's like, no, they're not. I mean, Red Dead Redemption just came out. Spooderman just came out. God of War just came out. Yeah. You know, shit like that. But, like, no, I agree, though. Like, horror definitely is not dying. Like, right. I mean, shit, like, a lot of the movies we just watched, like, they're not even older horror movies. Like, Train to Busan, like, just came out a couple years ago.
Right, and, like, I think just the thing that really kind of bothered me is that they grouped all of horror together. And I think their better statement would have been, a lot of mainstream horror isn't as good as a lot of the underground stuff.
Yeah, because like I've been seeing more and more like foreign horror films. So like when I was looking for my movie for this week, like I had Netflix is basically my only way.
Right.
And except when I have a chance to use Hulu or your Amazon, like I'll look on there and stuff like that. But like, I would say near a quarter of the horror movies that I was like actually interested in watching and stuff like that on Netflix, they're all Korean or Japanese, and they're all more recent,
or strictly like Netflix like produced them.
Yeah, and like they're all, but the thing about where I was saying like Korean and Japanese and stuff like that is that, or at least I know people hate like the whole PC culture now, but Asian.
Right.
Sorry, like I'm not gonna.
Okay.
But anyways, but like
you're not being offensive though, because it's an Asian country. So if you go from like, place from the Asian country, then it's.
I'm just saying some people get butthurt about.
No, I get what you're saying.
But anyways, I'll punch them in the face. I don't care. That's stupid. Anyways, like so the thing with it is that like they're all recent. They all came out within the past couple years. Like, it's not like I was seeing movies like Ringu or the original Grudge's Name and stuff like that. Like, it was all like very recent horror movies, and they were fucking nuts. Like, it's just to hear that like horror movies are dying. I'm just like, no, they're fucking not. Like, maybe we're having a small lull, and that's why we're having like the Pet Sematary remake, It remake. And honestly, most of the like really successful horror movies that are coming out on the big screen are more like socializing, taking a social standpoint, like Get Out. Yeah. Great. Like I wouldn't even consider that really a horror movie, but at least like a hardcore thriller. But it was
I consider it psychological horror.
Yeah, but like it was taking a standpoint on social injustices and like. There's those ones that stand out, but then there's movies like Hereditary. Like I feel like horror movies nowadays are kind of just divisive, so divisive. Like Hereditary, I've heard amazing things about it, and I've heard horrible things about it.
I loved it.
I still haven't seen it. I want to see it.
It's so good. Like
I still want to see it.
I saw it with our buddy Brant. Me and him saw it, and he got really mad at the ending, and I explained to him why the ending makes sense.
Yeah.
And like. He was still mad about it, but...
that's kind of how I'm going to be. Like, if I really hate the ending, you're like, but it makes sense. I'm like, I know it makes sense. Doesn't mean I don't like it.
So, but that was just my thing. Is just... And I get it. Like, they're allowed to not like horror, and I'm not saying they have to. I just the way that... low-key, they have to like it. But, it's just... I think the way they just approached it and handled it could have been a little better. Like I said, I feel like a better statement for them to make... would be just, this is like what I said, mainstream horror isn't as good as a lot of underground horror, or mainstream horror hasn't been good in a while. That would have been better, and maybe that was the point they were trying to make, and they just did it in an ass-backwards way. But, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to, like, discredit this radio station and, like say that they suck and stop listening to them. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just the topic they had on horror, I think could have been done a lot better than the way they did it.
Yeah, because I do kind of agree that mainstream horror is like lacking. I mean, like Slender Man was supposed, like everyone was really excited about it. It was a big budget in the theater, and it just kind of tanked. And then there's the movies that they make that are supposed to be really bad. Like, I was so excited when I saw it though. But Truth or Dare.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it definitely is not taking itself seriously, and I honestly think it could have been a whole lot better if it was rated R. Right. I think that was honestly the biggest thing it was lacking, is that it wasn't it was rated PG-13, because it's supposed to be one of those fucking popcorn, take your teenage date out to this movie. It's a teenage horror movie. Yeah. And so like I was kind of like, because while I was watching, I was like, okay, they knew it was going to be a B movie. Like, you can't really make a Truth or Dare awesome movie. Yeah. But, like, it was good. And like I was watching it with Dev, and she was getting really into it. And then the ending happened, and she got so pissed off. Right. And it just made me love the ending more, because I was like, I mean, I like a movie that doesn't have a truly happy ending. She's like, no, fuck that. They put you through all this shit, then you don't even get a happy ending. I was like, I mean, technically.
Just saying. Anyways, Cody, what's something you love and you hate?
Something I love is that, so I don't really get to get nice new shoes a whole lot. And I know it's like one of those things like, fucking white people problems. First world problems. But like, I got a new pair. My mom and I went out today, and like, today honestly wasn't that great of a day. It kind of sucked. But there was like some good things, and she took me out, and I haven't been able to get a good pair of Converse in such a long time that actually fit my feet. And so we actually found these Converse like boots. They're kind of like Docs in a sense, but they're stylized like Converse, and they're really nice. And I was really excited about that because they're like really good pairs of shoes. So like just kind of that, and then like I got a new Diablo-esque game on my Switch the other day, and it's really fun. Like it's fun. It's mindless. You're just a bunch of wizards, and like. It's just kind of nice because like I can't afford to get Diablo, and this was on sale for like $7, so I was excited about that.
Well, now to get two forms of Diablo, because me and you like we're getting into like playing online, and then our hours changed, and so
I know, kind of suck.
And I was like, because I was actually playing with my friend Kat like 2 days ago, and she's like, "Who do you primarily play with?" And I was like, "Oh, buddies Nate and Brant, and me and Cody usually play, but now our hours are so different, I never see him." And then she's like, "Yeah, that's so sad." And then like everything started going numb, and I started thinking of me and you playing, and like a black and white filter, and just like summoning
by myself.
And then like I put my hand on like my window while I was raiding. I just be like, "Where's the time gone?" And then like I just like drag my hand down, and then like I'm standing on the roof playing a saxophone, like a really sad song, just because we don't get to play Diablo together. It honestly became that scene
Never
from like
gonna love again.
It honestly became that scene from SpongeBob SquarePants where SpongeBob becomes the cook for Plankton.
Oh yeah.
Without you. And I just reached my hand out to you.
Yeah.
And you just like drop whatever like food you're cooking with in like the kitchen. You're just like,
yeah, that has kind of sucked because like I don't play Diablo as much anymore, anyways, because of that. And it's like, and I try playing Destiny with Harrison, but it's not the same.
Oh, the one time I saw
you can't fucking platform.
Oh, the one time I was there when you were playing with Harrison. It was the funniest thing ever because you were just yelling at him because you were in your room and he was downstairs playing downstairs, and I was with you in your room and you were yelling at him to like shoot a guy or something, and then I just hear Harrison from downstairs, "I'm trying,"
and he's just like, "I fell." I was like, "Harrison, you literally have a jump that makes you fly."
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, how do you miss these platforms? Like so in Destiny, there's 4 different types of jumping that I know of. I don't know if the updates invited. There's double jump. There's a triple jump. There's like this jump that like propels you forward in whatever direction you're looking at, and then there's a floating jump. And so he has the floating jump, which literally makes you fly, and he just goes, like, he just floats over the thing. And I'm just like, Harrison, look down at your feet when you're floating. And he's like, oh.
I want to get to the thing you hate, but real quick, were you there when we played Monster Hunter with him for the first time?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know where to go, guys. Follow the giant monster that's attacking.
What was so funny about that was like, so you and Austin were like taking down like an Anjanath thing. And like we were just supposed to hunt a Puke. Like that's one of the very first like monsters you hunt down in like Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like, I think it was like me and Brant. I want to say it was me and Brant.
It was either you and Brant or you and James.
Yeah, it might have been. I feel like it was me. I could be wrong. Either way. And so like we're trying to help Harrison out, and like he needs to get like the experience, and so we're trying to get him to like fight the Puke, and he's like, where is it? And then like you see like me on top of, I was on top of the Puke riding it, run right past Harrison. And then, like, Brant was chasing right after the Puke while I was right on top of them. And Harrison runs right past it the opposite way. Literally sees the thing we're hunting. It says, I can't find it. And we're just like, we ran right past you!
Just as me and Austin are like, what's going on over here? Like, right after we killed the Anjanath. I see Harrison, hey, found Cody!
Like, you ran the opposite way. We weren't hunting the Anjanath. They just took it down for fun. Like, read the objective. Play it.
Yeah, Harrison's not good with those kind of games.
We love Harrison. He keeps us on our toes. What's the thing you hate? What's the thing you hate? We're going on a little too long.
Yeah, I know. The thing I hate is... So I'm sure there's a lot... Okay. So it's kind of going back to that whole post of, like, you know, let people have their pumpkin spice lattes, let people have their this, that. Like, you don't need to shit on everything.
Right.
It's like, okay, I do agree with that. To an extent.
Here's the but.
To an extent. The but is when it's mid-October...
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to, you know, everyone's still like candy shopping for October, for Halloween, and getting their costumes together, figuring out their plans for it. And I see a fucking fat ass Santa Claus in the Christmas aisle, and there's Christmas aisles now, and it hasn't even been Halloween yet. Like, I'm already pissed off that fucking Christmas happens in November.
Right.
Like, if Christmas is, like, you know, mid to beginning of December, I'd kind of understand. I'm like, okay, you know, that's fine. Like, it doesn't have a whole month. No. The fact that it's, like, already taken over, like, Thanksgiving doesn't mean anything anymore.
I mean, if it helps, I never liked Thanksgiving.
No, that makes it worse. Thanksgiving's
like
my
I like spending
holiday.
time with people. Like
that's my favorite holiday. You get great food and you get to spend time
with
family.
I guess to specify, I hate the reasons why we have Thanksgiving. But I like... being able to spend time with people and actually being able to meet with family and friends you don't get to see that often.
They're racist. But
Racist.
But
I put on one pointy-hatted costume that happens to be all white, and now I'm just a racist.
Yeah.
I thought it was a ghost.
No.
Sorry.
I mean, some kind of ghost, but it's not a good ghost.
When we went to that black neighborhood, they let me know it wasn't a ghost.
but so my whole thing is just like the fact that people are like, yay, it's Christmas. And I'm just like, no, it's not even fucking Halloween yet. Fuck off with that. Like I said, you can have that shit too. Like, I totally find it's like, you know, you like the things that make you happy. Right. That's fine. Right. But when you actually start throwing it in people's faces, like, oh my God, it's Christmas time and I haven't even been able to kill someone for Halloween yet. No, fuck off with that shit. Like, come on. Jesus Christ. This is going to be like Christmas in January soon. It's like, no. You know why? Because Christmas, all those people that like say that it's a super religious Christian holiday, you can go kill yourself. It's a pagan holiday. It is not Jesus' fucking birthday. Get your fucking shit straight. No, especially if you're the people that shit on Halloween saying it's a pagan holiday, it celebrates the devil. No, it's not, because Christmas is a pagan holiday. Jesus was not even born in fucking winter.
Wasn't it around the beginning of the year that he was born?
No, so Jesus is born in between June and September.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's around the time that people debate it. Not Christmas. Not when you celebrate a fucking fat old white dude that goes around in a red suit eating your goddamn cookies. No. It's a fucking pagan holiday. It's not a Christian holiday. It's not Jesus' birthday. So stop putting your religious shit on that and then saying we need to celebrate it all year round. Go fuck yourself.
Look, Santa has it coming for a while because he did not give Cody the right Power Ranger that he asked for. And I'm not going to lie, he didn't give me the right Megazord I wanted. So
yeah, no one wants the fucking Ninja Zord. You want the Megazord.
We're coming for you, fat man. We're gonna take your ass. We're gonna cut it off. We're gonna burn it. And to any of our listeners who foolishly decided to play this episode around their kids, Santa is real. Magic exists. Yeah. Now, if the kids aren't listening, Santa isn't real. Magic still exists, though.
I'm just saying, because, like, my favorite meme that came out of all of this shit, it was, like, it shows an angry, religious old white lady, like, I don't celebrate Halloween because it's a pagan holiday. And then it shows the two kids, like, lean into each other, like, should we tell about Christmas? Because
I know what you're talking about.
Christmas is a pagan holiday.
That just that you already talked about it once, and, like, we need to get moving on. But so, like, last thing I'm gonna add on is that I do agree, like, some places, like, I like Christmas. I actually like the holiday Christmas. But I do agree that, like, the marketing for it, and it is marketing. It's straight up marketing. The marketing for it starts way too soon. Like, because I went to Cherry Creek Mall today to, like, get my phone working. Like, took Aaron with me. And, like, I never knew this, and I barely ever go to Cherry Creek Mall, to be fair. But, so, like, they're already setting up, like, for the Santa to, like, you know, come sit. It's like, you know, like Southwest, like the way they usually do it, it's like it's like we thought it was a big deal, but like they still kept it kind of like humble, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit, Cherry Creek, they have this giant ass fucking chair, and I mean giant.
Yeah.
Like, it might as well be the size of a townhome. Like, for people to come sit up on Santa's lap, and then they have like an addition added to the chair for kids. Like they have an interactive like kids play area.
Yeah.
Like behind it, and I'm just like, holy shit, people! Like, what happened to just the fucking chair and handing out candy canes? Jesus, why does it have to be like? I don't like, and so like we gotta finish this, but like I agree. Like I feel like Christmas has lost more of its like sense of like family and like togetherness, and it's straight. It's the same thing with the Christian cross. It's become a marketing tool.
Yep.
And that's going to get us some flack, and that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I know.
But I will say Marilyn Manson makes a really good quote about why makes a really good point as to why the cross has become more of a marketing tool. If you want to know where to hear that, I suggest you check out the movie Bomb City. It's in the beginning. It's how they intro the movie. Mm-hmm. It's the way he describes it's a really good point. But we got to get to it.
Yes.
So today,
if I insulted you, I'm not sorry.
So
read the facts.
If we insulted you, we made the point more than once. Is when we talk about something we love and hate, it's because we need to vent about it and we need to get off our chest. And if you listeners can relate to us on it, perfect. We did a good job of getting you to relate on something that you can agree with us on. And if you are upset, please send an email in. We will talk about it here in the podcast, and you're more than welcome to critique us.
I'm not sorry.
We might not say sorry unless you can make like a good strong argument. Like, but I don't know. We'll see. Just send us an email if you disagree with us. So, anyways, going forward, so we decided to do movies.
I guess hold on before we talk about our movies. You should probably talk about our fixers.
Oh yeah, we got 2 corrections we have to make. So first off, I want to send a personal apology to the band Bury Mia. So when we came out with that episode, I made a mistake and got the date for their show that was coming up wrong, and who they were supporting. So because I said they were supporting Michael Graves, and I said Corey Graves, and that was my mistake. And so if you listen back to the episode now, the audio should be fixed. It should be the correct audio. But I do want to send a personal apology out to Bury Mia. That was my mistake. I got my notes mixed up and recorded the wrong intro, and so I apologize for doing that. They were really cool about it. I already emailed them, and like they were like, shit happens. And so still, please check out that episode, and please check out Bury Mia and their music. Again, those dudes were absolutely dope and fun to talk to.
Yeah,
and
their music's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still blasting stereos. Not right now, obviously, because we're recording, but yeah, I still just wanted to send out another apology to them and their fans. That was my mistake, and I apologize. The show they did looked like it went fucking amazing. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it. Yeah, I had my daughter that night, and by the time the show started, I had to get her to bed, and it just... Yeah. Next show they're going to, I'm making it a point to be there. I think we both are, actually.
Yeah.
So, again, Bury Mia, we apologize. And also, we need to make another correction. So, we made it could be considered a cardinal sin. So, in our last episode, where we talked about the lore of zombies, we associated with George A. Romero being responsible for the creation of the movie Return of the Living Dead. And that was our mistake. It was Dan O'Bannon who did it. And George A. Romero even went on to say that the Return of the Living Dead was a spoof of his movie, The Night of the Living Dead. And I think maybe we just got the movies confused with Land of the Dead by accident. And so we wanted to make that correction. And say it was
we kind of got it mixed up because he did Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead,
yes,
and Land of the Dead,
and so
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
there's just so many of the dead.
So we made a mistake, everyone. That's our bad. We apologize if you're so, and we're sorry to everyone who's a fan of the films that we made that mistake on. So with that being said, though, let's go ahead and move forward. Because speaking of Return of the Living Dead and punk rock inspired things, we decided to do movies that have punk rock influence in them and just have that punk rock gritty grits underbelly kind of feel. So the movie I did this time around, that I reached into my prefla of things that I'm going to do for reviews, and the reason I say it like that is because I always do this habit of like changing my like movie last minute
all the time. All the thing that sucks the worst when you do this shit is when like I wanted to do the original movie that you were going to do. I was like, oh, okay, I'll find my own movie. Then I go and watch that movie. Like, oh, that was great. You're like, hey, yeah, I'll change my movie. I'm like, well, that was no point in trying to watch that other movie. Because I already did my movie. That's...
So I made sure I didn't do that this time. I made sure that I didn't second guess my movie choice.
Good.
So
like, I've learned that I just have to call dibs on a movie before you do. Like, if you're like, yeah, I was thinking about doing this movie, and I'm like, oh shit, I wanted to do that movie. Dibs! Like,
that's why I ask you first, like, what do you want to do? so you can let me second guess myself on my own. So next time you just need to text me and just be like, just stick with it.
Just do it.
But now you just gotta flick me every time I change it.
Yeah.
So
I'll send Zeta on you.
So the movie I decided to do was the classic from 1986, Class of Nuk'Em High. So, which is directed by Richard W. Haynes and Lloyd Kaufman as Samuel Weil. Written by Richard W. Haynes and Mark Rudzinski. Stars Janelle Brady, Jill Brinton, and Robert Picard. And its synopsis is...
Robert Picard.
The synopsis is, the pupils at a high school next to a nuclear power plant start acting and looking strange after buying contaminated drugs from a plant worker.
Could be drugs.
Okay,
Jeez.
hold on. So, first off, this is a synopsis for on IMDb, and I'm going to call them out. This isn't correct. So, this is half correct. So, I'm just going to tell you what the actual synopsis is and not go with the IMDb one this time. So, what happens in this movie, the whole synopsis is that there is a high school that's right next to a nuclear power plant. And the nuclear power plant has a malfunction and spills nuclear waste that seeps into the water and just into the high school in general, which is, I think, Tomaville High.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where this movie is centered. And so, some of the gang, or what's considered a gang, the punk rockers, or we'll get to them in a second, end up, buying this, weed that grew within the power plant that they had access to, and, touched some of the radioactive material, and that's the contaminated drug that they start selling. But they don't work there. The gang, none of the gang works there. They just have an inn there.
Okay.
So, that's where it's... So, yeah.
Wrong. Jesus. Get your shit together, IMDb.
And it's just... I'm just saying, it's a little bit wrong, but... And then if I'm wrong, feel free to call me out, but I don't think anyone's going to call me out. Because we've only been called out.
James will.
James might, but I
hope that's another moment where I scare the shit out of him because he's like, get out of my head.
so far, good. I'm just saying, so far the only things we've been called on was Origins of Voodoo and bread.
I'm still feeding him bread.
It's just he's not doing it.
Yes,
on the record, he's not doing it.
On the record, yes I am.
He's saying it to piss everyone off at this point.
Still doing it.
See?
Still doing it.
Anyways, can I talk about my movie?
Fuck those ducks. You brought it up.
You
had to say bread.
I'm just saying the things that have been called
triggered.
Great, now he has to go to a safe place. Ted Nugent hears about it. He'll have a
Ted Nugent would make an entire song. Fuck those ducks.
God, that guy is so fucking old and off his rocker. He needs to just retire. He just needs to retire or die at this point. He's just sorry, last thing. He got fucking mad at Canada for legalizing weed?
What?
Yeah, he literally legit got mad at Canada. I'm like, fucking stop being crazy and shut up, Ted.
All I know is that people need to leave Canada alone. There are allies. Yes, I like any good old Canadian.
Why does no one realize that Canada is the cool friend or the cool big brother to us? Or at least the cool cousin. We can make him the cool cousin.
Well, Christopher Titus kind of said it. Fairly certain Christopher Titus said the best the relationship between America and Canada is that America. Oh, it's not Christopher Titus. I think it's either Chad Daniels or John Mulaney. But they said the joke of America's the bully at school that picks on everyone.
Yeah.
And then Canada's kind of their hype friend in the background, yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah, you go, America. And that's yeah, fuck, shut up, Canada. Yeah, you know what? You're good. You're cool. And now we're just you know what? Let's pick on Canada. Now we're going to turn our backs on Canada. No! Fuck off! Come on!
We'll make small little jokes here towards, Canada, but we love you, Canada. We love you, our Canadian listeners.
I'm sure they have jokes about us, too.
Especially now. Oh, fuck yeah. Go at it.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Yeah, oh my god. I read the comment section for that article, and like there was actually like a person from Canada who basically like called out Ted and be like, go fuck yourself.
Good for him.
Good. Man, Canada's getting cooler than us.
I know.
I think Canada's always been cooler than us, and we just had a big enough head thinking we were cooler than Canada.
Hey, it's America.
Yeah.
So
we're calling ourselves out here. Anyway, so class of Nuk'Em High. The pros. So obviously, this is definitely like a punk rock horror movie. Like it's a legit like at any point in this movie, it looks like it's just going to turn into a music video for like the Misfits or the Germs or like anything like that, because it's just like it's over the top and it's ridiculous, and that's what I love about it, because like you have these characters who have like face paint on and like horribly shaved haircuts and like a dude who has like a fur like arm like and then like carries around a bone and has like piercings all in his nose and like girdles and stuff like like it's fucking it's totally like it's parodizing the satirical way people look at punk rock culture, and it's also just like this over exaggeration of punk rock culture in general, like and I love it for that. Also this movie has that classic grindhouse drive-in movie feel, you know, like where the movie just starts up and it's just the dull panoramic scene, and it's just like now we're into the movie, now we're showing you the first scene of like the exposition of what's happening. And that's what I love about it. It just has that classic feel. And yes, we were around when drive-ins were still a thing.
There's still a drive-in in Fort Collins.
That's true. And the practical effects are grade A in this movie. For a 1986 film, it keeps with the awesome practical effects. Excuse me.
That's disgusting.
It is. I don't argue that at all.
That was like gurgly.
It was. But the practical effects are grade A. So a good example is, so there's the stereotypical nerdy character who's named Dewey in the beginning, and he drinks water from a water fountain that's already been contaminated with radioactive spill from the nuclear power plant. And so during class, they have a drill, like a nuclear like drill test, like if something happens at the nuclear power plant, ironically enough. And so the water he drank previously starts like, tearing away at him, and like he foams green from the mouth, and like green goose spurts out of his ears, and like it's all practical effects. And then like he jumps out a window and starts melting from the inside, and like his skull starts to come out, like his skin turns to goo, like it looks like melty cheese pizza. Like it's so cool, like, and they do such a good job with it. And so I'm just like bravo. And this is like in the beginning of the film, so fuck yeah. And so going back to how ridiculous this movie is, it's that perfect B movie classic feel where it's like they purposely do dumb jokes and dumb things that are like corny and exaggerated. So like so the contaminated weed they smoke, like it makes the women horny. Like, and they make that a point. Like they say like it makes the women all hot and bothered. Right? And so like when our hero and his love interest like smoke weed, the contaminated weed, they go up and they're at this party and they go to like one of the bedrooms, and like she gets up there before him and she's like just rubbing herself and she's like, oh my gosh, like I'm so hot and bothered.
She's judging you right now.
The dog is judging me. Fair enough. She's like, will you keep it down? Anyways, so the female protagonist is like, touching herself, like getting horny and whatnot. And so like the male protagonist, the boyfriend, comes up and he just turns around and he's just like, well, I think her name's for Susan or something like that. And he's like, huh? Susan! Like, just like, it is like a full, like, up close, like, zoom on his face. He's like, oh! like, so shocked that she's, like, wanting to, like, go to Pound Town with him. So, like, it's just that perfect B movie, like, feel with it. And then, like, another quote is like one of the degenerates, the punks. I think they're actually called like the creeps or the cretins. That like that's the name of the gang in the movie. Well, the girl one talks to one of them and says like, "Oh, why won't you take me along?" And he's like, "Sorry, babe. That's what happens when you fall in love with Mongrel." So, and that's just going to be my thing from now on. Like if Aaron's just like. It's like, Dad, why'd you eat my cookie? Be like, sorry, kiddo. That's what happens when your dad is Mongrel. Or just like when Lauren gets mad if I take a bite of her food, or like if I forget to do something, she'll be like, "You forgot to take out the trash." I'll be like, "Sorry, babe. That's what happens when you fall in love with Mongrel."
She's judging me now.
Just, like, that's gonna be my excuse. And then like I'm gonna take it too far and say it at work, and my boss is just gonna like be like, "Matt, why didn't you do this thing?" And be like, "Sorry, babe. That's what happens when you." And then I get fired.
And that's how you lose your job.
That's how I lose my job. But it's really funny. So also I'm kind of like low key making a point that I hate long opening credit scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
Like not this movie, but with movies in general. And so there's opening credits in this movie. But what I like that they do is that they give exposition to the story while doing the credits. Mm-hmm. They don't just make you look at the panoramic scene as it zooms out slowly and keep giving you opening credits. They actually tell the story of, like, the nuclear power plant and the contamination, like, the power plant trying to cover up, the leak and the accident. They still give you the opening credits through that. So I like that they actually give you exposition and, like, give you something to actually look at. Also, I like the fact that in this movie, the punks are basically the major power of the school. Now, to be fair, they're not clearly made out as, like, punk rockers or punks.
Yeah.
But they basically are. Again, they're, like, exaggerated, satirical versions of them, in a sense. But they're the major power. They're the ones that run everything, that everyone respects and, like, fears. And it's just... Because it makes me think of, like, all those punk rock songs that we listen to, where it's, like, punks being in control, punks leading a revolution or starting a revolution, and just... and even though it's not much of a revolution, just... punks always being the underdog.
Yeah.
And now that they're actually seen as, like, a major power, like, it was just cool to see. It's just cool. And I like that. And I like that they are a major power of the school. Also, what I love about this movie is that there's always some sort of, like, rock song playing in the background of every single scene. Ever. Like, every scene, there's always just some sort of rock song playing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the dude's just like, fucking, like, orchestral. It's just like, I have this great, like, mixtape. Let's just put this in.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's what's really cool. And that's the majority of my pros. And I have way more pros than I do cons, but it's just... is that it's a punk rock movie. It's got that feel, but it has its cons. So still, I made it a con because there is still an excess of opening credits within the movie. So I'm making that a con. Even though it gives you exposition, it makes it easier to get through.
Yeah.
I still don't like that there's opening credits. That's just me. I'm making it a con. And the only other con I have is that some of the scene transitions don't add up too well. So in the beginning, there's a point where the punks, like, put up, like, a geeky kid against the wall, and they're wanting money from him to pay for the, like, joints that they gave him. Uh-huh. And then immediately just, like, with no explanation, transitions to the scene where, like, one of the punks who's there messing up the kid or, like, threatening the kid, all of a sudden is now ruining a bake sale that's just happening during school hours.
I'm gonna fuck you up, kid, but I gotta go sell cookies.
Well, there's not even that. Like, but he just drives a car to, like, ruin all the bake sale merchandise. Oh. And there's it's just a cut and dry transition. There's no explanation or anything, and it's just, like, they could have, like, even just done, like, an overhead announcement and be like,
his mother died because she ate too many cupcakes. Now he takes it out on the baking industry.
Something hilarious like that would have been great. Or even just like, remember kids, bake sales today. And then like Mongrel looking at the PA system and be like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. And like just fucking something like that.
Sorry, babe. Maybe you shouldn't have baked a cupcake for Mongrel.
That's what you get for baking cupcakes for Mongrel. That's what I'm getting when I go and annoy Dev. I'm like, sorry, Dev, that's what happens when you fall in love with someone whose best friend is a mongrel. It's just like, that's going to be my excuse from now on. And be like, Matt, why did you take a pickaxe to Burger King? Sorry, court system, that's what happens when you don't serve the right food to mongrel. This is going to be my thing from now on. Oh my God. So it's not as much as a WTF thing. It's just something because the current climate of the world right now, and mostly in the U.S., what's going on with guns and shootings, I do feel like that it is a point to point out that near the end of the climax of this movie, the punks basically come in and terrorize the school by bringing guns to the school to literally shoot it up. Like, there's scenes where, like, one of them has, like, an M4 and shoots a secretary. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to make that aware to our listeners because because I don't know, who listens to us and who's been affected by something like that or is sensitive to that I feel it's kind of like my duty and our duty to let them know that there is scenes in this movie. So keep in mind it's supposed to be overly ridiculous and not taken serious, but I understand stuff like that can be triggering, and especially for the people who do suffer from that and have serious trauma with that. So again, this isn't like a con, it isn't a pro, and it isn't even a WTF fact or anything like that. It's just something that I want to point out to all of our listeners. Before you check this out, just keep in mind there is a scene where they do bring guns into a school and they do shoot it up. So it's not overly like intense on that, but it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, everyone. But last things I want to say, before I do some trivia about this, is that this movie is just, it's a classic for any horror collection in general. Like it's such a classic B movie. It's classic to just experience because this movie was definitely done with like love to have fun with it, and it's ridiculous in that aspect. And it's just good because it's a good punk rock movie. It's a good punk rock horror movie that, like I said, at any point looks like will become just like a Misfits music video, or looks like will become a music video for the Germs or something like that. So, a couple of facts I want to point out is that the monster in this movie is never seen in a full shot, as the entire costume was never finished. They only had bits and pieces that were used as puppets. For example, the hands, face, and legs.
So they're just like, what do you want to do for the body? Fuck it. Let's not even make it.
Wait, the body? Oh, I'm so fired!
No, we can make this work. Just shoot parts.
Okay, good. I can't be fired. I need this job.
Yeah, don't do it.
We just gotta act
because
like
I'm not a mongrel.
That's what happens when you have a mongrel work for your practical effects team. So when Dewey lands on the pavement in the opening scene, the first man to walk up to him is a shocked bearded man, played by Troma co-founder and producer Michael Hertz in his only on-screen performance ever. So Brad Dunker became one of the lead cretins because he was one of the few people in the cast who was able to ride a motorcycle. Before that, he was a member of the crew and had a cameo as a student with sunglasses in the party scene. And so if you want to pick this up on DVD, on the DVD. If I ever didn't sound old before, I do now.
On that disc that you put in the record player.
With the hip and the hop and the rock and the roll. So on the DVD extra, Richard Picard said that Heather McMahon, who played Taro, was supposed to have a bigger role. However, her car accident prevented this. And Theo Cohen, who played Muffy, stepped in and did all the scenes written for Taro. Mind if I throw out one more?
Fucking just do it.
Okay, so last one. When Chrissy goes to the hospital, you can hear over the loudspeaker Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard. These are the names Moe, Larry, and Curly take in certain episodes of The Three Stooges.
Oh, yeah. I should get that because Moe always got pissed off because he's like, I'm Dr. Howard. And Curly would always like, I'm Dr. Howard.
Oh, yeah, that's... I know you're
because Moe would he'd get pissed off. And he was like, God damn, knucklehead.
Like, Dr. Fine! So, that's my movie review for Class of Nuk'Em High. So, yeah, now, Cody, it's your turn.
So I did my movie it's called Green Room. And holy shit, dude. Like, alright, I'll get into it more. You're going to have to move it closer.
I'm trying to.
I know. I appreciate it. So the synopsis is a punk rock band is forced to fight for survival after witnessing a murder at a neo-Nazi skinhead bar. Directed by Jimmy Saulnier and Jeremy Saulnier, and written by Jeremy Saulnier. It stars Anton Yelchin, may he rest in peace, Imogen Poots, and Alla Shawkat, and it doesn't say it in here, but Sir Patrick Stewart is also in this movie.
It's a very big deal.
Okay, so before I go into my review and everything of this movie, I will apologize now. I might drop the N-word because that is very prevalent in this movie, and it's just like it might slip out. I'm gonna try and stick to not saying it.
I think as long as you keep it within the context of
the movie
of who you're quoting.
Yeah, because it's just like it's just weird hearing Patrick Stewart say it. That's the thing.
I mean, I guess if you can get by without having to say it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
But anyways, so I had a lot of pros. It was actually kind of hard for me to find cons. So if you don't know me, like whenever I'm watching a movie or a show, just whatever, I usually have to do something else. Like I have that kind of ADD where like if I'm watching a movie, I'm gonna like be playing on my Game Boy or my Switch or like or looking at my phone and stuff. I just kind of like it's hard to draw me in. Like even movies I love to death, like I'm still just like I'm doing something else. Like it's mostly just for background noise. But this movie like drew me in. Like I could not take my eyes off of it. And so it starts off with like it kind of hit home with me with the whole like if you guys didn't hear from our last episode, how we talked about how like getting a gig and stuff like that is really hard for underground rock bands and stuff, especially with underground punk bands. And like it starts off with them trying to get a big gig. And so like it's really funny because like they're talking to this guy who's a huge fan of them, and he's actually interviewing them for his newscast or in his podcast.
Yeah.
And like he talks to them about why don't they have, and like what's really funny is this movie relates a lot to everything we talked about with Colorado Punk Rock Army.
Oh yeah.
With the whole like the heart and soul of punk and music and evolving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's because like he asked them, he's like, how come you guys have no social media presence? Like no Facebook, Instagram, no YouTube videos, nothing. And like, you know, he asked them that, they're like, well, it takes the heart out of punk rock, don't you think? Like the whole point is that you're supposed to get known through word of mouth, not media presence and stuff like that. So the whole guerrilla warfare tactic that we talked about. So like when we brought that up in the recording, I was like, they actually talk about this in the movie. And
it
so
works.
Like, so there's this really like, it's not a comedy. There's very, very few times that like you actually laugh, like, you know, they try and make you laugh, but it was really fucking funny. Cause like there's this hardcore punk rock band, and this guy said he got him a really good gig, but he's like, actually the gig fell through, but I got you a different gig. And they're playing like this really hardcore, grungy punk rock music. Like if they actually had an album, I would buy it.
Nice.
But like they're playing at this like Mexican restaurant. It's this family Mexican restaurant. And all the people in the restaurant just staring at them like, what the fuck is going on? While they're all like jamming out and getting all into it and shit like that. And so it was just really funny, like, from that point, like, that was, like, the only really funny part. And, like, and so they're talking about how they have to, like, siphon gas out of other people's cars to, like,
yeah,
you know, get, to drive their van and stuff like that, because they have no money. Like, they're trying to, like, make money doing their gigs. And so there's, like, a lot of exposition for each character. Like, it makes you care about each character through little things and stuff like that. And so then they get the gig at the Nazi bar through this guy. And he even warns them. He's like, hey, so just to let you know, like, they're leatherheads. Like they had their own nickname for them. They're like, what? He's like, skinheads. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna do a punk rock concert for a bunch of Nazis.
Real quick, so they don't call them skinheads?
They do. They end up calling them skinheads.
Okay.
Like, they just use other terminologies like that.
Oh, well, the only reason I was to say, because like I'm gonna add to your pros and give you another pros, because I think that's cool, because like skinhead actually wasn't a racist thing.
No.
Like originally it was like just a term. I think it was like Boston or Chicago and even like Ireland.
Yeah, for neo-Nazis when they ended up starting using it.
Well, yeah, and it was originally just for working class. It was straight up just working class people, like blue collar working class people who just work for what they want. Like it was actually an honorable thing. And
yeah.
Nazis had to go ruin it.
Yeah, Nazis ruin everything. Alt-right motherfuckers.
So I was gonna say if they included that in here by not really directly making it skinheads,
yeah,
like that's cool, because I'm glad that's because in a pseudo way it sounds like they're kind of like taking it back.
Yeah.
So
but anyway, so they get told like they're gonna do this thing, and like it was really funny from like the few gigs I had with my old punk band. So they get to the place. And, you know, they had the one guy who's running the concert. He's like, all right, you're the band. You're going to use our kit. Your kit. I'm like, our kit. And they're like, okay, cool. Well, let's get you to the green room. Bring your shit. You know, pull around the back. Like, it was just really funny because I was like, I remember all those talks. Like, let's get you situated. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's do it. And so like, what's really funny is they because they all of a sudden like really see that they're Nazis, and so like they decided to do the most punk rock fucking thing I've ever seen, where Anton Yelton's character, he is like, hey, here's something we should do. And they get on the stage and they see all these neo-Nazis, like the whole crowd, because it's a neo-Nazi bar. And he was just like, so, and then like he gets nervous, and he's like, I don't think we should do it. And then the other bands are like, no, we're gonna do it, or else we're gonna tell them it's your idea. Like, you know, they're like, we're gonna do it, or we're gonna tell them you're Jewish. You know? And so they start their new song. They're like, hey, we wrote a new song for this gig, and the song's called Nazi Punk Fuck Off. And it's all about them like cussing out these Nazi punks.
I feel like that is actually a punk song anyway. No, it is. There is one. That's actually... Hold on. Well, I'll look it up real quick if you want to keep talking.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so like they do that, and like, you know, it starts pissing off the Nazis and the crowd, and you know, the whole crowd and stuff at one point. And they start throwing shit at them, but then they start playing their actual songs, and the whole band, like the crowd gets into it and stuff. It was just really cool because like the music's really, really good in this. Like the punk rock is so good. But then like after that, shit hits the fan. And so like one thing I do want to say that the synopsis does get wrong is that the band doesn't witness the murder. They happen upon it at the end of the murder. But like once that happens, like holy shit, the gore in this movie, like it's very small, but it's good. Like, so there's this one scene where one of the main characters like pretty much gets his hand cut off. So, but it's not all the way cut off. It's just like dangling from the wrist. Like he bends his wrist and and like they did such a good job with the practical effects where it looks like his hand's just like wiggling there. It's so fucking good. And nice. Then and so one thing that I thought was really cool is like, so they end up having to duct tape his hand back to his arm.
Right.
And the whole entire time, he doesn't use that hand. Like he struggles using that arm and that hand and stuff. I was like, that's good because so a lot of things
kept with the role.
Yeah, because you know, even when they try and do realistic movies, like they'll still like use that hand somehow.
Right.
But they cut it through the tendon, so that hand was useless. But and like they just did it there so it can keep it around. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. But like, and another thing like they do in this movie that I thought it's neat. It's also disheartening, but they talk about the different types of Nazi gangs that there are, neo-Nazi gangs, and so the one that they focus on in this is called Red Laces, and so they wear their Doc Marten boots, and they have to have red laces, and so that's how they differentiate from other Nazis is that they have their red laces, and so they have to do something. They have to kill someone to get their red laces, and this is one like scene. So Patrick Stewart, his character is the owner of the club. And so when hearing him say like drop the N-word, like because he talks about how one of the main antagonists got his laces was by beating a bunch of N-words to death with a baseball bat at a gathering.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, he goes into it and it's just hearing him say that, I'm just like, Jean-Luc Picard, no.
It's kind of like also
Professor
weird.
X, what's wrong with you?
It's also surreal. It sounds like it's just as surreal as like hearing Edward Norton say it in American History X.
I could see it more than Patrick Stewart.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, there's no contest.
Yeah,
but
like it was just so surreal hearing him say that, and then also just like, and he gives this like big speech to the like people in the club, like about how like the neo-Nazis it's not a party, it's a gathering, it's a revolution and shit like that. I was just like, why? Like, no, you're supposed to be the good one.
Oh, and so I want the song you're talking about. It's actually a Dead Kennedy song.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to double check because I thought it was a Sex Pistols song, and I wanted to make sure I got it right.
Yeah, because they go Nazi punk, Nazi punk, Nazi punk, fuck off, and I was just like,
yeah, no, it was originally a Dead Kennedy song, so yes.
But yeah, so like, and then like, so the one of my biggest cons is. So this happens in a lot of movies. So they show one guy to be really badass. So there's one guy in the punk rock group who's like, he's really badass. He knows how to fight. He's like talks about how he used to practice mixed martial arts. He knows how to do like an arm bar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he ends up snapping this one dude's arm in half using the arm bar. Like when they're having this like this little. I'm not going to spoil it because it's like a big key part of the movie of like when it happens. But like the thing that agitates me is when they introduce like, you know, like. When there's like the thing that agitated me is like when they kill the badass off like really early,
Yeah.
And so, like, that's one thing that always agitated me, because I'm just like, especially the way the badass dies in this, like, he's like running away. I'm just like, but you're the only one that legitimately knows how to defend himself from everyone.
Right.
And it's shown this throughout the entire movie up to his death, and his death was more of him being a bitch. Yeah. So, like, it kind of agitated me with that. And they also kill off, like, most of the, like, protagonists pretty quick. Like, they're almost all dead, except for, like, the main two that you're going to end up following. And so, that's one of my cons. But at the same time, that's kind of a pro, because it shows, like, as much as it, like, hurts to say, like, the Nazis had their shit in order, like, it shows that the Nazis have their shit in order and they know how to take care of this stuff. Because, like, the entire time, like, Patrick Stewart's character is just like, we can't have any trace that there was a murder here or a scuffle, anything. When the cops get here, like, we have to make sure nothing can come back to the bar. And, like, they're, like, really organized with setting up, like, not being caught by the cops and stuff like that. So, like, that's one of my biggest pros. So I don't want to talk about anything else in the movie because, like, honestly, it'll spoil a lot of it. I just know that it's a fantastic movie. Right. Like, it's a little slow burn in the beginning, but when shit hits the fan, fuck, like, you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. Like, and it makes you think, like, what would you do in that scenario? Because, like, a good chunk of the movie is just the band in the green room. That's why I call it green room. Yeah. But, like, them in that room talking to Patrick Stewart's character and the other Nazis through a door, and just, like, them trying to figure out how to get out of there alive. Like, that's the whole point. And, like, it's just really good. And I cannot recommend it more. And I want to talk about more of it, but, like, I can't. It'll spoil, like, really key parts of the movie.
Yeah, this isn't because we're over an hour. It's
you have to watch it, and it's free on Amazon Prime if you have that Amazon Prime Video. I definitely recommend watching this movie, and, like, and it makes you uncomfortable too, because, like, of how good, like, the Nazis are in the movie, like, of how, like, coordinated and stuff they are with all their stuff, and then watching this, like, punk rock group just struggle to stay alive. But, like, yeah, it's really good. So I definitely recommend it. And then there is this really funny part at the end. So, like, the one thing that I will spoil a little bit.
Okay, so do you put a spoiler?
Not really. So, like, when they're doing their it's what kind of goes through the whole movie. It's really funny.
Okay.
So there's this point in the beginning of the movie where they're doing their interview with the guy, and he was like, "What's your desert island band?" So it's like, well, it's the one band you would constantly listen to if you were stuck on a desert island.
Right.
Yeah, and so they all say, of course, like, one of them says the Misfits, he's the badass, says the Misfits. Another one said, they all kind of name off punk bands, and Anton Yelchin's character is like, I don't know. And so at the end of the movie, he goes, oh, I know my desert island band. And he looks to, like, the other main character that lived, and she's just like, go tell someone who cares. Like, it was just really funny, because, like, that comes up again and later on in the movie, and, like, they all change their bands to, like, there's one that's like, nah, fuck it, I'd stick with the Misfits, and the other one's like, Prince. And, like, they all, like, name bands that aren't punk bands. It was just really funny, because it was like, oh, so you do have a somewhat soft spot. But, yeah, so...
Do you have a band?
System of a Down. They're the one constant band that I can always listen to and not get tired of.
Fair enough. Face to Face would probably be mine.
Yeah.
Because they're, like... I can't tell you how many times I've listened to every song off the Big Choice album and haven't gotten tired of it.
Yeah, I've listened to every single System of a Down album, like, in a row.
Right.
I still can't get tired of it.
Right.
Like, it's just, I don't know why. I love that band.
Fair enough.
Hey, speaking of trivia, the first song that the band plays at the Skinhead Club is a cover of the Dead Kennedys song, Nazi Punks Fuck Off.
Oh,
dumb. This is a little sad one, but, like, this was Anton Yelchin's last feature film to be released before his death on June 19th of 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then the paintball story that Anton Yelchin's character tells is a real experience director Jeremy Saulnier had. Rick Spears is a real person who did as said in the story. That's a key point. That's why I'm not going to go into more detail about that.
Right.
Patrick Stewart said in an interview that when he finished reading the script at his country home in England, It was so terrifying that he locked up his house, turned on the security system, and poured himself a scotch. He then knew that he wanted to play the Darcy Banker role because a character that horrifying would be an incredible challenge and make for a compelling film. And he did great. Like, he was so good in this movie, and I was just like, and he is terrifying, and it doesn't help that like Patrick Stewart just has like a calming voice. And, like, just how he, like, in the entire movie, he never loses his temper. He doesn't scream, nothing. He keeps a cool, calm demeanor.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
Oh, yeah, it's Patrick Stewart. There's no way.
Yeah, it's just, it's so good. Let's see.
I mean, if that's it, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it that I really want to go over. Because a lot of this is kind of, like, a little spoilery, and I don't want to go into it. But, yeah, if you love like suspenseful thriller horror movies and just love Anton Yelton and Patrick Stewart, you should definitely watch this movie, especially because seeing Patrick Stewart in such a role, like, you would not believe him. Like, you know, just seeing him be this horrible person, it's really good.
It's well, it's like what it says. It was challenging.
Yeah, it's really, and he did such a good job. This is a really,
I'd rather see him as this
movie
than be a poop emoji.
That's true.
I guarantee you probably did that for one of his kids, but like grandkids or something like that.
Definitely, I highly recommend this movie. Like, I had more cons for it, but I don't have my stuff because I locked myself out today. So
it was still a solid review. Like, I'm gonna watch this shit no matter what.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and the music is really good. Like, there's little hints of metal, and then also punk, of course. And it's just like when the music's on, like, it's really good, but when it's not, like, honestly, there's a lot. Most of the time, there's no music.
Right.
And then the blood and gore, like, it's a little in between, like, it's few and far between, but it's really, really good when it happens.
I'm gonna check this out either way.
Yep.
So, with that, listeners, we are at the end of this episode, and we kind of kept it low key, but thank you to all of you, because guess what? This is basically our 1 year anniversary of this podcast. Like, I know it kind of came up, right?
What?
Yeah, this is our 1 year.
Oh yeah, this is what. Well.
We've already
releasing.
Passed. No, like, so the time that this comes out, it'll be past, because we started up last October 31st, and
that's when we started work on the podcast.
Yeah, and that's when we started promoting it. Was around that time too on like our personal Facebooks, and that's when we started hitting the ground running with this thing until we went live in January. Because we went live in January, but we started last October. So. This is our 1 year anniversary, so yay! And thank you, listeners, for riding along and being here with us for this, first year of the podcast, and we're looking forward to a second successful year of gaining more listeners, bringing out more content, bringing out some great stuff for all of you ghouls and gals to check out, laugh at, and just be amazed at what we're making. And I went with that because I didn't have a third thing. I'm hoping you guys are amazed. We're both hoping.
Yes.
But no, seriously, thank you, listeners, for supporting us and for helping us get through this first year and just blowing us up and telling your family and friends about us. And thank you. Just a massive thank you.
Sorry, it's like... Because we only have, 2 episodes left?
Yeah, we only got 2 episodes left.
So, it's kind of sad, but funny at the same time.
What?
This totally would have been a better episode to do our last episode on, seeing as how we're talking about punk rock.
Yeah, but fuck that.
I'm just saying, it would have been
it's more punk rock to do it this way.
It would have been poetic justice type thing before we take our break.
No, we'll have a cool idea. We
already... Okay.
We'll have one. We'll figure it out. We got this. Because we got another interview coming out that we're going to be recording this next... this coming Saturday.
Sunday.
No, it's we'll talk about it after this.
I thought it was Sunday.
No, I'll have to show you because okay. Do you just want me to say it now? Because I don't want to ruin. Well,
no, don't say it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, so not bye yet. If you want to keep up with everything we're doing, please follow us on Facebook at Punk Horror Podcast, on our Twitter at official PRHP. If you want to follow us on Instagram, go to
Punk Rock Horror Podcast, hashtag PRHP Podcast.
If you want to become a supporter of the show and donate to us monthly, And just for $2 a month, you can support the show at our Patreon, patreon.com/punkrockhorrorpodcast. We're available to listen to on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, our website, Google Play, Player FM, YouTube. I already said that's the second time I said YouTube. We're all over the place. And if you have any strange stories or band info that you want to send us, please send it to us at our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And we kind of have to extend an apology. So we did actually get a story from a listener, and we've mentioned it previously during our lore episodes for October. And we were supposed to do it this week. We want to extend an apology to you that we haven't gotten to it yet. We're extremely sorry. That's completely our bad. So our next Monday episode that we do, we're going to have that in there. We're going to do your story, and we're going to give it the justice it deserves. We want to say thank you for being so patient with us and being flexible with us. But we want to give you a public apology. So we apologize, and we'll get it out as soon as possible. And thank you again for supporting the show. Thank you, ghouls and gals, for tuning in every other week. And with that being said, podcast over.
Podcast over.
Bye.
Bye.